This is day 9, December 21st.
Wow, I didn't even like have the.
No, you didn't. I just
actually,
thought I'd make the jump on this one, just so that.
All right, so I
mix things
promise
up.
you,
Yeah.
after today, the last 3 days of the 12 Drams of Christmas, you're gonna see some kind of Christmassy thing going on, whether it be reindeers and antlers, or Santa hats, or maybe just big red noses or something. I don't know. Anyway, here we are, day 9, as you said, December 21st. Getting close now.
Yes.
Hope you guys are done your shopping, because if you order from Amazon right now, it's probably not happening.
This is a problem.
There's the whiskey in the glasso.
Wow. Very light. Very.
Go to your tree now, find your bottle, pour it in a glass.
Don't want to jump the gun here.
We'll wait.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm patient. Sort of.
I mean,
patient.
There's other whiskeys we can drink while we wait if you want to.
Oh, look at all that one orange.
Once again, we're at Mick Baxter's Whiskey Saloon in Bell River.
Yeah.
And it's not an actual saloon. It's just in his private home, and he's my uncle and member of the family, and has the same passion of whiskey that we do.
A fairly recent discovery of whiskey. He's only had this obsession for the last, since 2018, 2019, when somebody introduced him to a $900 bottle of Macallan 21 year, and he was so blown away. He never drank before.
Yeah.
So blown away by it that he decided that he needed to try to experience more.
Yep. So he started buying whiskey, and has more whiskey than any of us could probably drink in a lifetime. So but we'll work on it.
We're only looking at a very small segment of this bar, which is wonderful because we get to see the rest of it.
In another video, we'll do an interview with Dan and get him in front of the camera and get him to talk about some of his most prized whiskeys, which is actually not he has some pretty amazing whiskeys, but most of it's pretty pretty accessible whiskeys. They're not like ultra super rare. Like you see some people's collections, it's like, oh my god, like that's not realistic at all. But this one is it's a drinking man's collection in my opinion. So
that's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
I also hear you doing a video with your mom. Which
So there's a new segment that we're going to be doing soon coming up. Hopefully within the next week or so. Okay. Maybe before Christmas we can get the first one out. I'm not gonna tell you what the name of the whiskey segment is, but I'll introduce you guys to my mom, and she will talk a little bit about Greg's wife, my mom, and we'll talk a little bit about what her favorite whiskey is and why,
and a little bit about her epiphany, because she always considered whiskey to be booze until she had a distillery experience that just blew her away.
Yeah, so we'll talk all about that. Anyway, in the meantime, we've got another amazing whiskey for you guys. You should have it by now in the glass. Yeah. And here we go. Oh. This is a little bit different.
Yeah. It smells like my laundry. No.
Before or after?
Before. Sorry, but that's only
what detergent are you using? Or is it the Lund water?
I consider that an insult.
Well, I don't know. It could be a good thing. It kind of looks like Lund water. So.
Yeah, that's what the bath water used to look like. Yes, I know.
For those of you who don't know, Lund is
the northern Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, north of Powell River. It's the end of Highway 101.
Yes, it is. And people that go to Savory Island, or at least have a place over there, know Lund because that's the harbor that you leave from. It's home. I love it.
We're not far from Lund here on Klahani, but we like to differentiate. We're not Lundites. We're
We're all part of the Clahaman territory, which we acknowledge and appreciate. So thank you. Yeah.
Cheers to Muhammad.
So what have we got here besides a nose that smells like laundry right now? But that'll change, I'm sure, after the second or third one.
Well, this has been in the glass for a little bit, and I got to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
This is interesting. It's very... It has like a funkiness to it. We're not going to go over like crazy with tasting notes on this one because, first of all, it's such a rare whiskey I couldn't even find tasting notes. So I try to do my own off the cuff. It's getting farmer's field, hay, but also barnyard funk. But a bit of sourness in there, which is pretty classic for this distillery in some expressions. And some people hate it, some people love it. Sometimes I don't, but for this particular whiskey, I'm okay with it.
I sense that there might be a disconnect between the nose and the palate, which is a bit of a rarity because oftentimes we get a connection that goes, I get it.
So what are you getting on the palate then, Greg?
My socks have not been washed. That is beautiful.
For sure.
I like that.
It's not overly sweet. It's not, it's so unique. Super unique whiskey. Drying kind of.
Where I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Not you, them. Because this was one that is quite surprising.
Yeah, I mean, once we start talking about the whiskey and after the reveal, I think it'll probably become quite clear. But I think this whiskey really shows that although the cask is a major influence on a whiskey, for those distilleries willing to do the work, your spirit can be a major influence too, and can be a very spirit-forward dram. And for us whiskey geeks, that's pretty special because it's so different and so unique.
I would even take it to another level, and that is that not just the spirit, but what goes into the spirit.
Absolutely.
The process that ends up with the spirit as it is. This is one of those ones where, well, as we'll find out after we've
without further ado,
that soil plays an important piece in this type of whiskey.
Yeah, so this whiskey is famous tin, the Bruichladdich, but this is a special Bruichladdich. It is a exclusive bottling for Wine and Beyond liquor store in Alberta, and this is part of their Micro Provenance series. And it's a single cask. It was distilled in 2013, pardon me. It's a 9-year-old whiskey, cask number 0936, bottled at 59.8% ABV. Before I start talking about the details, Greg, why don't you talk a little bit about the Micro Provenance series?
Sure. Just to lead into that, this distillery was mothballed, like many distilleries throughout Scotland, and it was reactivated in, I think it was the year 2000. They invited Jim McEwen, who had been with Bowmore on the same isla since he was 15. So he had a long history with Bowmore, and they wanted to bring him into the rejuvenation of Bruichladdich. And one of the individuals that he hired, who was also quite young and didn't quite finish university, but he was looking for a job, was a fellow named Adam Hannett. And Adam learned everything he could from Jim McEwen before Jim retired. And I think he retired in around 2015 or so. But
he was actually just awarded a knighthood, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And very deserved.
Yeah, so it's now Sir Jim McEwen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to change my notes. But one of the things that, and going back to what Adam is asking, one of the things that Adam Hannett has been interested in is is the influence of soil on the barley. In particular, a single varietal of barley, and what he wanted to know is what barley influences what whiskey. So, for those of you that know Bruichladdich, there are essentially three brands that they produce. One is their unpeated, which is Bruichladdich itself, and then they have something called heavily peated, which is Port Charlotte, and then they have this one called ludicrously peated, which is their Octomore series.
Oh, okay, it used to be super heavily peated.
They've
gone to ludicrous.
They've gone to ludicrous.
We can't stop. It's too dangerous.
And then they've got the
little Spaceballs reference there.
all kinds of things. Yeah. So they've done some amazing things, and being a distillery that sort of reemerged among all the classic distilleries of Islay, they're the outlier. They're pushing with everything that they've got, and that's why the Octomore series is considered to be ludicrous, because they really push the phenol parts per million beyond all of the Lafroigs and the Lagavulins and the other ones on Islay. But one of the things,
if I was any good at video editing, I would put a little insert of the video part of Spaceballs where Rick Moranis had just crashed his helmet from stopping from ludicrous speed and just said,
yes,
smoke them if you got them. But I'm no good at video editing, so you just have to mentally visualize it with me.
All right, so Adam Hannett, not Adam Drummond, but Adam Hannett decided to try various kinds of barley and discovered that there was a difference on Islay. But then he went further. He set up what they call regional trials, and where he was growing the same barley varietal in different parts, on farms in different parts of Scotland, to see what the influences were and realize how much difference there was between barley grown here and barley grown somewhere else. So when you go back to look at the three brands, whether it's Port Charlotte in particular or Octomore, you recognize clearly there's a significant difference in taste, significant difference, but it all uses the same equipment, the same technology. So there is something that they've picked up on that I think the rest of the industry needs to be thinking about as well.
For sure. And so, yeah, this particular whiskey, like I said, it's an exclusive for Wine and Beyond, but they've done very similar whiskey exclusive bottlings for other liquor stores and stuff like that. There's the label there. Probably blurry as hell. The barley type to use, which not a lot of distilleries will put on the bottle, is called Bear Barley, B-E-R-E, which is a 6-row barley from northern Scotland. It was originally introduced by the Vikings in the 8th or 9th centuries. So it's pretty special, and I think there was a lot of trials and tribulations in just that alone, using that type of barley for their mash bills. So that's pretty exciting. The other really unique thing about this whiskey is the cask it was finished in, or matured in.
Yes,
and I'll let Greg announce it.
No.
Jura cask, which is a white wine. I probably totally botched that pronunciation. But it's a white wine produced in the southwest of France in the foothills of the Pyrenees. So, and doing my research on the wine, it seems like they can produce either a sweeter wine or also a dry wine. So I'm not sure which of the two this is, but what an interesting whiskey this produced.
There's nothing sweet about what I'm...
No, I'd be willing to say it was probably the drier side of the white wines. Really curious about white wine finished whiskeys. You can see by the color, it doesn't change like a dark color like a red wine or a sherry would. But really can't find a lot of like ex-bourbon notes in there. There's definitely maybe a little vanilla and honey in there. but like deep down, it's not up front like a lot of ex-bourbon casks are.
And at 59.8% ABV, it doesn't take your breath away. It doesn't grip you by the throat and wrestle you to the ground. It isn't one that you have to put drops of water in necessarily, unless that's your choice. It really has an amazing kind of complexity that, wow.
Anyway,
I'm enjoying.
Yeah, super cool whiskey. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we have.
Yes.
And yeah, getting down to the crunch now. Only a couple more whiskeys left. And we'll see you tomorrow with bells on. Cheers.
Cheers.